All of you know I like to collect shiny trading cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. There's just something about a holographic card that just activates all the neurons in my tiny little primitive smooth brain and makes me clap and have a smile on my face. Now, I've collected cards for a long time, and Wizards of the Coast has produced a lot of the cards I've collected, early Pokemon sets and Magic the Gathering, for example. And what they've recently done to another collector is unforgivably cruel. They unleashed the fucking Pinkertons to go to this man's house and scare him and his wife and confiscate some Magic the Gathering booster boxes that he had recently purchased. That sounds like the plot to a Breaking Bad episode when someone didn't fully compensate Tuco for the drugs they bought. Now, the reason there was an issue with his purchase is because the YouTuber made a video showcasing the boxes that he got, and it turns out the boxes he received were not the ones that he actually ordered. He had ordered a booster box set called March of the Machine, but what he received was March of the Machine, The Aftermath, which was an unreleased set, and he unveiled the cards a month early. It was a leak, and it was a problem with the distribution because the names are so similar. He believes what happened is the person he tried to purchase March of the Machine boxes from accidentally sent him the unreleased boxes because the names were so similar and they got confused. But he didn't steal the product or anything like that. He didn't knowingly purchase unreleased product. He just got sent the wrong thing. But Wizards of the Coast, they took this as an affront to God. I'm sure all of you have heard the name Pinkertons before because they were literally the bad guys in Red Dead. Like, they have existed for 170 years. I had no idea they were still around. I thought they went extinct like fucking 100 years ago. But they still currently operate today. And Wizards of the Coast dusted off the old hotline right to their desk and ordered an operation for them. I'm not here to do a deep dive on the history of the Pinkertons. They engaged in a lot of terrifying shit a long time ago, and I don't know to what capacity they still operate and do business today, but just their reputation enough is horrifying, and the fact that Wizards of the Coast used them as their first means of communication with this YouTuber is frightening. As far as I know, Wizards of the Coast didn't make any attempts to directly communicate with the YouTuber to resolve the situation without making a big hoopla out of it. It seems they just immediately, slapped the Pinkertons on the ass and told them, get out there, sport. Time to engage Operation Pinkerton Pain Train, and then sent them right to the man's doorstep. And when I was reading about this story and watched the video the content creator posted about the situation, I immediately pictured Wizards of the Coast higher-ups donning these dark cloaks put over their head, kind of like Darth Sidious in Star Wars, sitting around this giant table like an Austin Powers supervillain lair, brainstorming on the best course of action to reclaim the stolen goods, even though it wasn't stolen. And then they came up with the scariest option they could at the time. They treated this YouTuber, his name's Old School MTG, they treated him like Cobra Commander, and they were sending the G.I. Joe after him, all over a fucking trading card leak that the guy didn't even mean to engage in the first place. Yes, he did film the opening of the Aftermath box, which was a leak and it was early, but they could have just asked him politely to take it down and even ship back the product, and they would maybe just give him what he meant to buy. This was clearly an issue in the distribution, not with the YouTuber himself. He didn't mean to buy this set because it wasn't out. He just wanted some March of the Machine boxes, and it became a big deal, so much so that it escalated to Wizards of the Coast sending the Pinkertons, which is just wild. You know, the title's not like a joke. The Pinkertons, and this is news to me, are still real. You know them as the bad guys in Red Dead, but they are like a real firm. So basically, in a nutshell, there's a YouTuber, I believe his name is Old School MTG, I'll pull up his channel in just a moment. He ordered a set of boxes for Magic the Gathering called Wrath of the Machine, or March of the Machine. And what ended up happening is he got an unreleased set of boxes called March of the Machine Aftermath. And he publicized that he had it, and this was a big leak for Wizards of the Coast. And they responded as if he had just stolen the Krabby Patty secret formula. They threw the wood at him. They contacted and hired the Pinkerton firm to go to this man's house and reclaim the merchandise, claiming that it was stolen goods. So on his channel, I'll pull it up now. I believe it's Old School MTG. Yeah, Old School MTG. So on his channel in this video, he discusses exactly what happened. So the Pinkertons show up and he's describing them as heavy hitters and scary and made his wife cry. They were apparently talking about like jail time for stolen goods, and then they confiscated the March of the Machine Aftermath boxes. Old School MTG explains that it was just a simple misunderstanding. He didn't know the products were stolen. He doesn't even think the products were stolen. He thinks what happened is somewhere along the way, the guy that he was buying them from is not a Magic guy. He says he's more of a Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh guy. Didn't realize there was a difference between March of the Machine and March of the Machine Aftermath. So when he made the purchase order for March of the Machine, he accidentally sent him Aftermath. So like a very big, honest mistake from the way it sounds. It's not like Old School MTG went in there like it was fucking Ocean's 11 and had some kind of grand heist to steal March of Madness Aftermath boxes. It was actually just a fuck up. But Wizards of the Coast took it very seriously and hired the Pinkertons, which is beyond scary. Like the Pinkertons. They actually had a lawsuit because of the reputation that they have. They had a lawsuit with Red Dead Redemption. I don't know if you guys remember this. Because they were tired of their reputation of being the bad guys. Well, here, this is a follow-up to it. But basically, they didn't like that they were still being portrayed as bad guys. So they engaged in a legal battle over their portrayal. Trading card mafia. Yeah, this was such an overreaction from Wizards of the Coast. I don't know what's been going on over there, man. They have been like cracking down on everything with an iron fist, much to the reputational damage of the whole company. It's crazy. All the D&D shit, it just doesn't stop. But what's also wilder, by the way, is the thing he had access to, March of the Machine, the Aftermath, which, you know, he opened on cam. Big no-no, big leak. It's not even like it's that deep in the future. It's like 3 weeks away. So we got it 3 weeks early. It's not that big of a fucking deal. But yeah, they confiscated all the boxes and everything, intimidated him, scared him. But he's like super, super generous to them in this video. I don't know if it's out of fear or what, but what they did to him is beyond wrong. Like, this man got done dirty. And in the video, he talks about Wizards, like, very positively. I don't know if they had, like, a gun to his head or what, but he was, like, really charitable. He was like, yeah, after the Pinkertons raided my fucking house, they gave me a contact at Wizards, so I called them, and they were super nice and super apologetic, even offered a potential reimbursement with some product. I was like, when I was listening to that, I was like, man, this guy's got a heart of gold, because what they're doing is they're panicking, because what they did is, quite frankly, beyond disgusting. I don't even know if it's fully legal. To hire a private security firm to go reclaim material that you don't even know for sure is stolen? Like, what do you mean? Because this guy didn't fucking steal it. They apologized to him. Not publicly. Only over the phone. Like, the personal contact, he said, was very sweet. And I imagine that they were really trying to sugarcoat him so that way they could maybe avoid a lawsuit if he decides to, like, actually look into this situation. Because, again, I don't even think what they did is legal by sicking the fucking Pinkertons on him to confiscate his shit. Why not just ignore the Pinkertons? Brother, you have not played Red Dead. Now, he didn't have to give over his goods, I don't think, because, again, I'm not, I never passed the bar, but it doesn't seem like that's actually something that they could get away with legally. But you're not going to just, like, ignore the Pinkertons. He described them as, like, heavy hitters, like, scary. God, it really does sound like a mission out of Red Dead, though. I come out and the wife's answering the door and it's the Pinkertons. Fuck, man. But yeah, I saw a lot of people on Twitter, for some reason it's always Twitter that has like the dumbest takes, like, I don't think they sent the Pinkertons, that wouldn't make any sense. But then Wizards themselves did confirm that the Pinkertons were part of the investigation. And then of course they just go silent after they're confronted with like the reality that they were wrong. It's like, why should we believe this YouTuber? He's probably lying. Did he record the Pinkertons? But to be fair, it does sound like unbelievable. that a trading card company, well, I mean, there are a lot more than that, but over trading card disputes, they'd hire the goddamn Pinkertons. But yeah, here's his explanation. Somebody screwed up, sent out the wrong cases to the gentleman that I bought the boxes off of because when he sold me the stuff, he said he was selling March of the Machine collector's boxes, not Aftermath. He didn't even really know what Aftermath really was, I don't think. So like I mentioned, he believes that it was just something along the distribution chain because the names are so similar that someone got confused and sent out the wrong thing. Are Pinkertons a crime family or an organization? Yeah, the line's kind of blurred if you look at the Pinkertons historically, but they are a detective agency. But they've been around for 170 years. They've got a wild history. During their height, they had more armed men than the U.S. Army. Really? That's interesting. I didn't know that. It's not a very intimidating name. I disagree, man. That name actually sounds straight out of the Wild West era of just lawless, wild shit. I don't know, you hear that name and you're like, oh wow, those are some loose cannons that don't play by the rules. I really do feel bad for the guy because he seems super wholesome and genuine. In his video, he's also just really nice to Wizards of the Coast about everything that happened, even in spite of them sending these heavy-duty lawman Pinkerton agents to his house who also mentioned jail time and scared his wife. Like, that's crossing a line when they could have reached out in other methods to talk to him and clear up this incident. But they went with the scariest option immediately to like intimidate and scare him and reclaim the stolen goods. Now, I don't know if the Pinkertons had a warrant to like search and confiscate his shit. It still to me feels like what happened here isn't fully legal, which is why when old school MTG called Wizards of the Coast representative on the phone, they were so nice and apologetic. They probably don't want him to think too hard about it and consider a lawsuit because to me, and based on the little bit of reading I've done around situations like this, it doesn't seem like this was fully within the rights of Wizards of the Coast to do. This seems like it's in a really weird legal gray area here, and a pretty fucked up situation regardless, even if it is fully legal. It was just unnecessarily aggressive. So I wanted to talk about this situation a little bit, and yeah, that's about it. So, yeah.